Messy and masterful. In this podcast, we speak about the success of people who have achieved, built, or done something amazing, special, remarkable, noteworthy, and/or fabulous. Think of presidents, doctors, chefs, architects, filmmakers, writers, philosophers, CEOs, journalists, and the list goes on and on of people who've had a genuine impact on this world. But rather than underlining their career victories, we speak about the challenges they needed to overcome to actually get there. In each episode, we discuss 3 of such challenges, obstacles, difficulties, and/or hurdles with our guest, putting the messy of their lives next to the masterful. A very warm welcome to you. My name is Alder Pap, and I'm so happy you could make it. So sit back, relax, and download the podcast here.
I always wanted to be a foreigner. I always wanted to experience how it is to learn another language from scratch. And in that time, I had the opportunity to say, okay, if I don't do it now, I won't do it never. So it was in that moment that with my husband, we said, okay, let's go now.
A very warm welcome, everybody. It is so good to be back with our podcast program, a new series of episodes brought to you every week with, as you might have noticed, a brand new name. So you might have seen that we took a very short break from podcasting, taking a bit of time to work with a professional audio consultant to listen to our previously published conversations. Now, we did this because we absolutely love bringing this program to you, and we had the deep, profound desire to only make it better. Now, in order to do this, we felt it was good not to stay too long in an echo chamber, taking advice from each other as a production team, but also working with external third parties to tell us how we could improve this program. Now, the biggest takeaway from the consultants we worked with was they absolutely love it. They said, don't change too much, other than maybe adopt a new name that better reflects the topics that we discussed. So we just did that. Our production team came up with a list of 20 names that with the entire team at TeachPitch, we shortlisted down to 3. And those 3 names we took to our community of tens of thousands of listeners, and an overwhelming majority voted for the name Messy and Masterful. Special thanks to those of you who voted, but also made use of the open nomination. And I really love kind of the ideas you came up with, such as Trial and Resolution, The Magic Toolbox, and The Laurels, 3 of my personal favorites. I'd like to thank you very much, but the majority voted for Messy and Masterful, and I hope you like that one as well. So here we are. Welcome to a brand new episode of Messy and Masterful, powered by TeachPitch. We're very happy you could make it, and boy, oh boy, do we have a treat for you as our latest episode, because our new guest is one of the very best sommeliers in the world. Now, for those of you who don't know, a sommelier is a wine steward, a trained and knowledgeable wine professional, normally working in fine restaurants, who specializes in all aspects of wine services as well as wine and food pairing. And the role of such a steward is in fine dining, and it's much more specialized and informed than, for instance, that of a waiter. Now, we were delighted to speak to Paz Levinson, who was the best sommelier of the Americas in 2015 and consecutively became 4th in the world in 2016. Paz is now traveling the world working as a sommelier for the world-famous French chef Anne-Sophie Pic, who has over 10 Michelin stars with all her restaurants on this globe. And Paz is an absolutely lovely, modest, and hardworking person. It was a great pleasure talking to her about the challenges she encountered in making her mark on the world, having one of the best palates on the planet. I cannot wait to hear what you think, an episode about taste, good wines, and traveling. Please enjoy episode 57, Paz Levinson, the Sommelier.
This podcast is brought to you by Smartest. an app that uses artificial intelligence to let you create interactive quizzes for your class in a few seconds. Get started for free on app.smartest.io.
So, yeah, Paz, I'm so happy you could make it. It's a big honor having the ability to interview you for our podcast. A lot of things come together in you as a guest. First of all, I had the great pleasure of going on honeymoon to Argentina and going also to Mendoza and tasting Argentinian wine. So when I saw what it is that you are doing as a sommelier and where I guess your love for wines is born, it took me back to my honeymoon. I know that's very selfish, but it's such a beautiful area there. It's Bariloche. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, yes. So, well, thank you for the invitation for to be in this podcast. It's a pleasure, and yes, absolutely. I think Argentina makes a dream to many people, and also to me that I'm Argentinian, but now I'm far away, and it's always a beautiful country. And even if you are from Argentina, to know all Argentina is very difficult because it's very big and it's very beautiful place. And I come from Patagonia, so in the south of Argentina. In Bariloche is my hometown, and it's located in the mountains. So it's a ski center, but
Yeah,
very beautiful in the summer as well.
yeah,
And Mendoza is where my father was born, and I have also a lot of links and relation with Mendoza. Well, now more than ever, but always when I was a small kid, also I was going to Mendoza as well. But yes, Argentina is, I think, for tourists or not tourists, or it's an amazing place because you never end to amaze, and the places are, there is a lot of nature and places that are very low, were very low populated.
definitely. And I now realize I'm mixing up loads of places in Argentina because Bariloche is indeed in Patagonia and Mendoza isn't near Patagonia, right? It's quite far away from each other. So
Yes,
just to clarify,
yes.
because Mendoza is near the Chilean border. Uh,
Yes, Mendoza will be from Bariloche would be like 1,000 kilometers.
yeah,
So yes, it's quite far away, but yes, I would say like 10 for 12 hours by car. But for Argentina, that is normal. It's not so far away. It's like I always go to Buenos Aires, and then I go to Mendoza, and then I go to Bariloche, and always by plane. That was not the case when I was young, and was all by bus or by train. So it was really, really very long distance. I imagine a little bit what happens in United States with a long distance now, and you have to travel for many, many hours to get to one place to the other. And now we have the plane, but was not always like this. So we are very used to the very long distance.
yeah. And well, there are so many questions that I can raise around Argentina, but let's stick to Argentina and wine because you are a sommelier and not just any sommelier. You were the best sommelier of the Americas in 2015, and you were even fourth in the world, which is just such a remarkable, exceptional achievement. And when I think of sommelier, of course, I think of wine, but I also think of people with an exquisite palate. So, with people with an ability to taste things that the normal mortals wouldn't be able to taste. Um, how did you get into this?
Yeah, so I went to Buenos Aires to study. So I study also literature, and I'm professor of literature as well. And when I went to study to Buenos Aires, I have to get a job to have a little bit more money. So I was always looking in restaurants, and I always tell the story because there is a lot of restaurants that don't like me because I was very low. I mean, I was very quiet. I'm from Patagonia, so it's a very cold place. So it's more, I don't know. I could say it's more like Switzerland than Buenos Aires. So I was not, I mean, that good in the restaurant. So on the last opportunity that I gave to me in a restaurant, then I stayed 5 years working there, and it was not about me. It was about looking the correct place for me, for my personality.
Mhm.
And I ended up working in a restaurant, very small, but of 35 covers, but with a lot of details, and or the of a chef that she learned in France and with Michel Bras in La Gueule. So there was a lot of French influence, and the beginning was this one that is so related as what is my life today, because today I live in France and I work with a woman as well, a woman chef. So things are, without paying attention nearly about this, I think that is very, yeah, that is a destiny. And so I start working in this restaurant, and in this restaurant I could learn a lot about wine and about gastronomy and about products in the restaurant. And I ended being the chef sommelier of the restaurant and having a career as well, because the chef, she was also a sommelier, and in 2004 she found a school of sommeliers. So she asked me if I wanted to be like the first ones to study there, and I say, okay, I can complement being a server with this, having a title is always good.
Yeah.
So I said yes, and I was so studying literature, working in the restaurant, and studying for being a sommelier at the same time. And so it was a lot of training in the restaurant, but also, well, about learning the world of wine, and all in that restaurant. So for me was the most important experience in the beginning, because I start just washing and polishing glasses and washing the cutlery, and then I ended being nearly the director of the restaurant and the chef sommelier. So I have learned everything there, and then for the beginning was a very strong beginning, and it was this sort of restaurant that is like a school, and we learn all the time, and all the time all the people that was working there, they're in the kitchen, they were all, today they're very all of them are very good chefs. And I saw how they start like me, there. And then there was a lot of people learning, and it was a great place. And our guests were people from the literature. So at the same time, I was serving to philosophers, to writers, so it was very inspirational for me.
Two birds with one stone, they say, right? So you could feed
Yes,
your love for great food and great wines, and then also meet the greats in literature.
yes.
And this is a question for further down, but I would be curious now, as you are a professor in literature, your number one author. Do you have a favorite one, or
Hmm.
is that an
No, it's very difficult. It's a question like, what is my favorite wine?
yeah, yeah.
Is very difficult because I cannot say only one.
Mm.
But there is some authors that for sure they have marked my life in the literature. I made all the programs, or nearly all, about poetry. So yeah, T.S. Eliot. If I have to name only one, was one of the that I. If I have to take only one book, I would take this one. And then in Argentina we have a very very good writers, very good poets. So Borges is from Argentina, and he's very very famous.
Well, so before you started working in restaurants or whatever, did you like wine?
Yes, I one. of the things that also I was thinking to study. I was between knowledgeist or literature.
Oh, okay.
So because as my father is from Mendoza, it was also an option to go to study to Mendoza.
Yeah.
And I also read about what is to be a winemaker. And I was very good in the school. I really like biology, physics, chemistry, math. I really I didn't have like a preference. I like it all of the subjects, and I was a good student. So I said, okay, if it's something with chemistry, or it's okay as well. And but then I decided to go to Buenos Aires because all my friends and I have more family also in Buenos Aires, and was more practical, in a way, because I have many friends that at the time they were going to live to Buenos Aires. So the challenge there was to get used to live in a very big city when we are very young, and at the time there was no cellular phones. So I went from Bariloche, that is a small town of 100,000 people, to a city of 15 million.
And then what struck me is the Argentinian French connection. So you were trained by a French person working or who had set up a restaurant in Buenos Aires. She had set up her school in Buenos Aires as well. So and now you are in Paris, so you moved to France as well. So there's a continuous connection between Argentina and France.
Yes, yes. Actually, she's from Argentina, but she had learned and she had made a lot of experience here in France. So it's true that the two chefs, because she had also another chef that also he had made experience in France. So the people that was coming from France, there was the family from La Guiole, the Brass family,
Mhm.
and it's true that yes, it was a very strong connection that at the time I didn't never imagine that I was going to end living in France. It was not an idea or a dream at that time.
And now we are a couple of years further down the road, and here you are calling in from Paris.
Exactly, and also with working with a woman chef that she's from France,
Yeah,
and yeah, and I speak all the time French,
and
better than English now.
so you're working now in France. You've traveled to France. What made you decide to basically leave Argentina?
Yeah, so when I was in Argentina, so 2012, I was like also exposed to one international competitions. And so it's true that I start thinking that I wanted to continue learning, and this international competition led me to the opportunity to be in the world competition for 2013. So I really wanted to be very good at. And it was two things. I always wanted to be a foreigner. I always wanted to experience how it's to learn another language from scratch. And I always had this dream. And in that time, I had the opportunity to say, okay, maybe if I don't do it now, I won't do it never. So it was in that moment that with my husband, we said, okay, let's go now.
Yeah.
Let's go out of Argentina now. And first we went to China. I spent 6 months in China. I was very attracted to see what is was happening in China, because it was like 2012 was everybody was talking about China and how the wine will, I mean, the impact of Chinese consumption in wine, and a lot of interesting. So I said, okay, I would like to see by myself, and so that's why we went to China. But then learn Chinese was not an option if I
Mhm.
wanted to continue studying wine, and because it takes too long, and it's an incredible language, but I would need another another 5 years to learn something. So there was an opportunity to come to France, and well, we said yes, France maybe is a place, because first we are going to learn the language, and second, there is a lot of opportunities in wine, but also for my husband for the studies. There is a lot of universities and a lot of PhD that you can do here that in Argentina you cannot. And French is a language that for the literature was always important, and we had read a lot of French writers, so it was like the good option.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, what I'm so curious about is basically how your profession as a sommelier, how it travels internationally. So, but let's first start with what it actually is. I get it that it's around wines, but you taste wines and you pair them. So for the work you do in restaurants, you pair them with the dishes. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, it's the job of a sommelier. It is a lot of things all together, because it's about taste, a lot of wine, but also it's about pairing, as you have said. It's about business. It's about numbers. It's about the work in the cellar. That it's a lot of organization and counting, and it's also about going to the vineyard and knowing biology, viticulture, chemistry in the winemaking. So it's true that it's what I like about this profession is that it's very wide. Is that you can also history is so important in the world of wine. So yes, there is all together all these subjects, these areas together, and everything interests me. And also it's not only about wine. I was very convinced since the beginning, and since all the contests that I have done and the studies I have done, that the sommelier is in charge of the water. Everything that you drink in a restaurant is under our supervision.
Okay.
So I take care today about the water, about the tea, about the coffee, about the sake, about the spirits. Everything that is drinkable is it's the sommelier business.
Yeah.
So the cocktails, the non-alcoholic cocktails. So that's why it's so infinite, and
Yeah.
we never stop learning and teaching at the same time.
Yeah. It sounds magical because you need to kind of understand the effect of each drink on how it's going to affect the client effectively. And, there's a lot to it. A couple of questions come to mind, but let's first focus on your first challenge, because otherwise we'll never get to your challenges, and we do need to address them. And one that is, of course, remarkable is you're not just any sommelier, you're among one of the very best of the world, and you even became the best sommelier of America in 2015. Now, your travels started in 2012. So where were you in 2015? Were you already in Paris?
Yes, exactly. So it was a big challenge because I to be in this context, in this contest and this competition, I had first to qualify for the competition. So I had to first be the best sommelier of Argentina to be able to go to best sommelier of America 2015. So I was living in France 2014, but the difficult thing is that best sommelier of Argentina, we compete in Spanish. So I was in France learning French, but at the same time I was training in Spanish. That I knew that if I win the competition, I will compete in English.
Yeah.
And so this was like one of the hardest things I have done, because I was training with French people here in France, and I was speaking Spanish because I have to prepare the competition in Argentina. And at the same time, when all these trainings, I was making friends as well. No, I was like starting a new life because I came here in 2013. So I was starting a new life in France, and at the same time I had to train. I had to learn the language, but at the same time I had to train in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and so I had to go to Argentina to be in the contest of Argentina, win this contest, to be able to go and compete in April. I had only 4 more months
Mm-hmm.
to prepare it, and I had to prepare it in English. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to a little bit forget about the Spanish and start training in English.
Mm-hmm.
And also learning a language, I think it takes you a lot of your brain,
Yeah.
and you need a lot of your brain to learn the language. So
Yeah.
I have to train in English at that moment. And while I was like like learning so much the French, so it was super difficult to go back to Chile to compete in English while I was here. So it was like very demanding. There was sometimes I didn't even remember like very basic things. Like I think that I was so stressed with all the languages that it was very. It took me a lot of energy
Yeah.
just to be there. I mean, to be there with the language and with. So that was very challenging.
Intense.
And at the same time, I was working here in France. I was beginning this new professional life here. So it was all together. No, it was quite complicated.
So I'm trying to get a grasp of what the competition is like. So what are you actually competing for? I mean, I get you're competing for the title, but
Yes.
what's the setup of the competition? So you get lots of wines and you need to say what it is, or do you
Yes,
what
it's a
how does it work?
yeah, it's a lot of things together because it has a lot of theory. So you have to study a lot of theory, history, viticulture, winemaking, countries, appellations, everything about wine. Then it has a part that is a very service, so it's very practical, and we have to train, and it's like a little bit like a sport. You have to train every day with minutes, seconds, and also there is the part of the oral tasting that is you have 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 4 minutes. So everything is with a chronometer, and everything that you do, you need to know exactly how many minutes you do or how many seconds. And so it's a lot of training, like mental, physics, then also sensorial, because we have to taste a lot of spirits, a lot of wines, a lot of teas or non-alcohol.
Oh,
And
wow.
also we have to learn about all the what is the world gastronomy. You have to know names of chefs, of restaurants, of the list, who was best in 50 best, or what was the best wine in, I don't know, in Wine Spectator, or it can be whatever. So it's
Yeah.
true that I was studying like 8 hours per day when I train for these competitions. It's you sleep not too much, and you
Yeah.
are training all the time, and all the work that you do every day is about training as well. So you're working, but you're training. You're with your chronometer. You are seeing exactly how many minutes it takes you to do things, and you're prepared to everything. No,
Yeah.
you're very. So it's yes. I think it's I made it for 7 years, these trainings, and I think it's like not as hard as Olympic athletics, but it is quite like this. All
Yeah.
your life it turns around the contest and the training. Yeah, your energy and how you manage also your stress.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of also things that a lot of people do, where they do meditation or yoga or acting courses. Different people get different, learns different skills.
Yeah, you're basically saying, like, listen, if you want to compete, you do need to kind of make the time available for it. So
Yes,
you have your family life, you have your work life, you have kind of everything going on in parallel. So it's not something that you can just easily apply for and just see how far it'll take you, right? It's really like
exactly.
if you're going in, you really need to be completely immersed in the experience. What do you exactly win, if you could tell me? Is it the
Yes,
title, or is it a
yes.
medal? Is there a money
It
prize? What is the win?
no. There is no money. There is a medal. There is a title. And there
Yeah,
is international recognition.
yeah,
And also is the experience. I mean, it's the learning process to be a better professional that you are every day.
yeah,
So I think contest not only because you win or you are going to be the winner, but I think all the process and experience is a good experience to be better, no,
yeah,
to train and to be better professional and
yeah,
to answer to the client correctly,
yeah.
and it helps you in your daily job as well.
Yeah, yeah, of course, because it's such a beautiful title that you could use it.
Yes.
And let's make that jump, because you're quite modest about the French restaurant you work for, but it's Anne-Sophie Pic. She's a globally known chef. It's a chef who also is able to retain 3 Michelin stars for her restaurant, and in total, even I believe 10 was written. So you're working on quite a high level with the best of this world. How does that make you feel?
Yes, it was when she called me to work together. It was a surprise, but also was super challenging because global, and because it's not only France, and because it's a lot of, yeah, it's a lot of responsibility. But it came, this opportunity, in the right moment, because I was looking to maybe move a little bit from context, because it's very time demanding, and maybe put more time in my professional daily job.
Yeah,
So I was looking for a position that makes me every day a very good sommelier,
yeah,
and then I can feel it, and then I can feel the progression, and to have teams and to have people in charge to share my idea of pairings and the beverage world, and be able to do this in under one umbrella is like a dream that I think that I never could imagine something
yeah,
like this. Now, today I returned from a trip in Mauritius Island that we opened a restaurant for 4 months, and I was doing all the pairings, all the beverage program. This year I was in Singapore with a restaurant as well, with the chef sommelier and all the wine program there, London, Switzerland. So it's very global, and I have to interact with people from other countries
yeah,
that I really like, because I'm not French as well,
yeah,
and I really like to be global in this way.
yeah,
And this opportunity was to live in France but be global at the same time,
yeah,
and be exposed to different markets as
yeah,
well. So having the knowledge of what is happening in the different markets, and with different openings, we are open more in Asia or in Middle East, and be aware of the differences between all the countries.
We are proudly supported by Tony's, who have created a product that I absolutely love called Tony Box. It's an audible tool that allows the discovery of our world's most beautiful stories for children of all ages. We are the proud owner of a Tony Box, and our 3-year-old daughter listens to the Tony stories religiously, whether this is the Gruffalo, Cookie Monster, or her all-time favorite Elsa from Frozen. Loads of figurines that fit on the box, and loads who are dying to tell you their story. Now, what I particularly love about the Tony Box is that there is no screen involved. So you can basically use the box at any moment of the day, just before bedtime or as we do during bath time. Now, Tony's is also making tremendous strides improving their product for teachers from all over the world so they can grow their lessons. And if you want to know more about what Tony's is doing, you can go to us.tonys.com/pages/Tonys-for-teachers. That is /pages/Tonys-for-teachers, where you can find lots more information about all the beautiful new products they are creating. From the classroom starter set to the school expansion pack to the 6-pack school bundle. Loads of fun and lots to learn with Tony's. Yeah. How many restaurants are in Group Peak?
So there are 8 restaurants, but what is very interesting is that there are restaurants of 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars. There is also bistro style. So there is also daily. So it's more than 8, but the ones that have stars are 8. But what is nice is that it's all the levels. So it's not, I make the decision as well if we're going to sell a soft drink, and I taste also the soft drinks because I want to know how to taste. So I'm aware from the base, I mean the more affordable restaurant to the most expensive. Yeah. And that is what I like as well, not to be only concentrated in one restaurant, but to see the global picture and to understand the differences between 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, and non-star as well. No, so to adapt every wine program to the country and also to the place where it is, and it's very diverse.
Yeah, I don't have too much experience with being in Michelin star restaurants, a little bit, but if I then ask for the opinion of the sommelier, so you can ask someone to your table who can advise you on that. Now you're saying it's 8 restaurants, so they can't call you. Do you have people on the ground who kind of help you out, or how does that
Exactly.
go? Yeah.
Exactly, and that is the most interesting for me, is to have, I have 35 sommeliers
Oh, wow.
in the group, and what is interesting is to have the people that, the right person in each restaurant, that is the person that will talk to me like every day, and the person that will represent us every day. So I have to choose and select this chef sommelier and then the teams, but mostly the chef sommelier, the person that is going to be in charge in the restaurant. So that is very interesting because it's not about me, or I cannot be in all the places. It's about how I can translate and how can I communicate and how can I educate to the sommeliers to get what I want and how I want to do to get the wine programs and beverage programs where I want to go. So it's all also these discussions between the different countries and the different kind of clients as well. So that's why it's super interesting.
I can imagine. Again, I could talk for 3 more hours just about the cultural differences between the 8 restaurants and what have you more. Do you have a region that draws you more than the other, that attracts you more than the other? Is there one that you say, well, that one's fascinating?
Yes, well, there was, before working with Group Peak and Sophie Peak, I had a very great admiration of the Sierras of the Northern Rhone. And always I liked the region of Cornas, for example. And it's true that when Anne-Sophie called me and then I look and I get to see where was located exactly the restaurant, it's like 12 kilometers from Cornas. So we are specialists in the Rhone Valley, in the north of the Rhone Valley, and all the wineries have a strong focus in the Rhone because it's the place of the chef. She lives there, and she's the 4th generation of chefs. So it has a long story also in the Rhone Valley. And so for me, Syrah is one of the greatest grapes in the world, and Morif comes from the Rhone Valley. Yes.
The Rhone Valley, and just FYI, I just want to make sure that our listeners know about that. I saw on your Instagram you were just interviewed by the Telegraph in the United Kingdom, whereby they associate Argentina often with the Malbec. That's in the title, and you say that Argentina is so much more than a Malbec, right? So
yes,
what is it with Argentina and the Malbec that people are so hyped up about that.
Yes, well, is the most important grape in Argentina. That is true, but
Yeah.
also we are working in a project, a personal project with a partner, and in Argentina Reloaded. So Piqui Courtois and me, we will create Argentina Reloaded. That is
Yeah.
a platform for selected producers to show the diversity of Argentina and to show that Argentina is not only Malbec, even is the grape that is the most planted red grape in Argentina. But we have also a lot of many other grapes that are excellent, and we have a lot of diversity in the wines. And our idea was to show this in Michelin star restaurants. Like I in the restaurants where I work, we have Argentinian wine, and we
Yeah.
can pair Argentinian wine with French food. Not everybody do this link, and always living abroad, I don't like that people think that they can drink an Argentinian wine only when they eat empanadas or meat. You know,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
I think that there is a lot of things to do with Argentinian wine, so that's why is this focus with
Yeah.
Argentina Reloaded.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, so your Paz Levinson on Instagram and also Argentina Reloaded, definitely something to go and check out to see this completely other side of Argentina and really immersing yourself in a culinary experience of all the beautiful things that Argentina can bring you. I am curious about one thing though, because I know the French, they love their wines as well. So when you introduce an Argentinian wine in a French restaurant, what's the reaction? Are people open to it, or are they a little careful because
Yeah. No. When I arrived to France, yes, maybe the market was close to experience wines from all the places of the world. But I think in these 10 years, it was really, really changed. And hopefully, because I really like to have international wine lists, I really like to have the best wines of the world. And I
yeah,
think that a Michelin star restaurant is a restaurant that is not only local, that is also a restaurant that is of the world, and all the people comes from every
yeah,
place, and there is no limits about it. So now I think that the French people is getting much more open to taste different wines, and they're interested to learn more about other countries, so they get much more open-minded about it.
okay. Then let's go to your last challenge, Paz. You are currently writing a book, and
Yes.
I would say as a professor in literature and a sommelier, and it sounds like two worlds coming together, maybe a little bit. Is that correct, or would you say
Yes.
that's too much?
Yes, it's a big challenge because first, the time is it's very precious, and nowadays we don't have time for anything, and with the trips and family and well, many things now, so it's very challenging to write the first book. But I wanted to write something about the viticulture, the winemakers, not about me. It's me interviewing and thinking and talking with the great winemakers of Argentina. So it's very fun to do it, but it's hard work as well.
Mhm.
So I think it's one of the most challenging things because you have deadlines and you have to present things that you have to be sure as well. And yeah, studying literature is not easy to say, okay, many people makes people write their books,
Yeah.
like a ghostwriter, and it's not my case. So yeah, it's quite demanding, difficult, but it's a great experience, and I'm enjoying the ride. I don't know if I would stick to all the deadlines, but I'm trying to do it as fast as possible as well, and as well as possible.
Well, and if we could be of any help there, what I would say in the creative process, podcasting and recording works as well, right? To keep track of things. So I try to write a little bit as well, but then I often find myself also working with these recordings, and that's also part of the creative process. So it doesn't always have to be writing for you to keep track of your deadlines in your books. It's just as long as you keep the information flow intact, and then
Exactly.
you write at a later point. But that's just
Yeah.
me, and I can imagine that it's a challenge indeed while you're in France if it's a book about Argentina. So you need to get hold of loads of people in Argentina So that might not be the easiest.
Yes, but what is great from Argentina is that since I live in France, I feel like I'm closer even to Argentinian winemakers because well, we discussed a lot of things because women winemakers and friends, men winemakers came and we do some trips. We go to Burgundy or we go to Piemonte, or I try to organize all this kind of trips together to have the opportunity to see them, but in another context, and discuss global wine. That is, I think it's very important, not only taste Argentinian wine between us. They're
Yeah.
super curious. They're super good winemakers, and they have the same curiosity and the same questions to do in the vineyard. I mean, they don't want to sleep in the lower and say, okay, I'm a great winemaker from Argentina and stop. They're always trying to learn in some new things. So I always try to be connected in this way, you know,
Yeah.
in a way that is going to be fun, is where we're going to learn and we're going to discuss about Burgundy wine or Piemonte wine, but also Argentinian wine in the same. So we are comparing all the time and seeing what is happening in one place, what is happening in the other place. So it's true that it's good. I like this kind of discussions.
Yeah. It sure is. And I cannot wait for the book. Keep us posted. I'm sure you will via Argentina Reloaded or on Instagram, or alternatively your website, pazlevinson.com, which is a great informative website with loads of interviews and loads of insights into your exciting profession and all the things you do and see. Paz, thank you so much for answering all these questions and taking us through the challenges. Now I would like to finish the interview with 3 questions that I ask all my guests. And the first is around morning routine. I am fascinated with morning routines for some reason. Don't ask me why, but I always think it gives me an insight, a good insight in a person, just to know how this person starts his or her day. Could you tell me a little bit about how you start your day?
Yes, well, it changed some years ago since I have a baby boy. So it really changed. And the routine in the morning is giving to eat and a lot of kisses and a lot
Yeah.
of, yeah, it's the good moment of the morning where he's waking up and it's a beautiful moment. And then it's true that I, as an Argentinian, I never stopped drinking mate. So I always drink mate,
Yeah.
and if so that is very important. And go to the garden and to see the plants. So it's like a routine as well to do this. And then I take my boy to the school as well. And before was the daycare, now it's the school. But when I'm in Paris, that is my first couple of hours routine of first yes couple of hours, and then yes it changed a lot my mornings because if you have to catch a train or a plane, or if I have to go to the restaurant in Paris as well, so it kind of changed quite a lot,
Yeah.
but they spend time with my boy and drinking mate. I think every day I do it.
That's the routine thus far, and that's great. And it's sounds like a very wholesome, beautiful routine that you should enjoy as well, because he's going to grow up one day. We never want to
Yes.
think about that, but then there are no cuddles or hugs in the morning. So enjoy them and cherish them. Thank you. And then the second question is, and I think you've already answered it. If it's around reading, so you mentioned T.S. Eliot as the one poet, the one author you would take with you if it would just need to be one book. Maybe now slightly more related to your profession. So for those people who are interested in becoming sommeliers and taking on a similar path as you, which reading would you recommend them?
Yes, I will recommend the book of Rush Parr. The name is The Secrets of Sommelier, and I think it's a wonderful book to people that are starting or to people that are more experienced even. And he has 2 books that both are very very nice. So Secrets of Sommelier and the taste, the Atlas of Taste. And I think both are really, really nice. I really like because it has good photos, good images. The texts are very nice, very well written. About Jordan McKay as well, that is the co-author of the books, and they do a wonderful duo for people that are starting, but also that wants to have tips and to know where to go to eat if they go to some wine regions. So there's a lot of information, and I really like those books.
Nice. And the author was, sorry, because the Atlas of Taste and...
Yes, Rajat Bar and Jordan McKay.
Okay, great. We'll make note of that. So we will share it with everyone listening in, so people can look for these books and order them as well. Great suggestion. So we'll definitely list that one. And then our very last question. Now let's turn the tables and let's make this the Paz Levinson podcast. Who would be top of your list as a guest for your podcast?
Oh, that is a difficult one, but I think I would like to invite Paz Robinson because she's a woman, she's an author, she's a great personality of the wine, she's master of wine. So yes, I think that Paz Robinson will be one of my first persons
to talk to
interview.
Nice. And may I ask, she is still with us? It's something we could set up. Okay.
Yes. She lives in England. She has also her website. She's extraordinary author of books. That also all her books are extraordinary, and a lot of knowledge there.
Great. Well, let's set it up if we can, so you can have that interview either on our podcast or on the Paz Levinson podcast. Paz, it has been a great pleasure having you as our guest. A great honor. I wish you all the best in all your endeavors with the Anne-Sophie Pic restaurants, any sommelier competition you might be participating on, but also, of course, on your journey as a mother there in Paris. Thank you so much for being part of this podcast interview, and I'm confident we'll hear a lot more of you. Paz Levinson, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
If you liked this episode of the Teach Pitch podcast, then it would mean the absolute world if you could share it with your friends and or give it a short review on your preferred podcast platform. The more you share your ideas about these interviews, the more people will find out about them. So do let us know what you think. We'd be very, very grateful.
Special thanks to Philip Anderson for our beautiful theme music. This podcast was produced and edited by Natalie Piles. Project coordination by Inva Saini, and production assistance by Genta Metalia.